Alexa, turn on Ali Desk. Hello. Oh my god, is my microphone open? Hey, Johnny. Alexa did do that. Happy Sunday. Actually, the Newcastle accent's actually very posh for down south. So I'm not from here originally. Otherwise, I'd be speaking like, "Why, champion?" But it was Gandan tunes haven't it'll come out as I because I've lived up here for like nearly 20 years now. But I'm still very posh. Which did you know? Sounds it comes from shipping. It used to be port out, starboard home, so it was always the side facing the sun. So the first class passengers always had the best decks. So hence the word posh. Okay, yeah, I'll do that. Just hope I don't get any feedback. So let's try that. Members. There we go. Open. Hey, Two-Tone. Hey, Sync Rate. Hello, Mrs. Two-Tone. Johnny, I'm playing that for Catbat now. It's in the open MSFS channel. Hey, Technical Owl. Great. I set it at 480p and like 15 frames per second, so it won't be wonderful quality, but at least it will be good for him. Hey, Catbat, if you're watching. Well, it's definitely the Mooney. There's a very big reason for the Mooney, which I'll go into as we get going. Thank you for the follow, Belbro. It's very kind of you. Good afternoon, everybody. Happy Sunday. It's a beautiful day up here in Newcastle. I hope it's good where you are. Um, I'm having buttons. I'm doing having some problems like Murph normally has, so let's hope I'm not going to do this too wrong. But let's say hi, everybody. How are you doing? Um, thank you for hopping along. I'm going to be really nervous for most of this. Um, you find us here in sunny Oakland, California, where we're going to take off on the first leg of the Amelia Earhart Round the World Memorial Flight, which took place back in 1937 by one of history's most famous aviatrix, Amelia Earhart. I mean, by the time she was 32, she had racked up over 12 different solo achievements, which we'll go into as we fly. This is the second time she attempted a around the world flight. She first took off early March 1937 and headed west from San Francisco to Hawaii. When she landed at Hawaii, they had some fixes to do on the aircraft, and when they took off, they actually didn't get off the ground off of the Pearl Harbor airstrip. Basically, they had a ground loop, and the undercarriage collapsed, and they crushed all their propellers and everything, and had to ship the aircraft all the way back to sunny California to get fixed. The flight today will take us from Oakland all the way down to what is used to be Union Aviation Terminal, which is now Hollywood Burbank, and historically has been known as Bob Hope Burbank. The reason for the flight originally was that she did 3 legs, which were mainly a prepared flight, where she was basically didn't tell anybody in the press that she was doing it. She, her navigators, and her husband flew several legs across the United States to Miami, where the actual round the world trip actually started. Hey, bag dog, how you doing? And she flew to Burbank first because that was the second home of the Lockheed aircraft company that made the Lockheed Electra, which was the plane that she flew in these legs, which was the twin engine aircraft. It had been heavily modified so that she could carry a lot of fuel. So here's a picture of the aircraft here on the screen, just above my beloved Mooney, and um, very very good aircraft. The United States aircraft, once aviation took off, banned single propeller flights for flying people around, and the Lockheed Electra was one that took over a lot of aviation routes in the early days. Was very very popular. You'll see on the top of the aircraft she's got the RDK, which is the radar navigating equipment. None of today's luxuries did she have when she was flying, and they basically use this to pinpoint navigation around the world. I'm flying in the good old Mooney today because on the 80th anniversary of her around the world flight, it was undertaken in a heavily modified Mooney, um, and that completed the journey. So I thought as it has been done in a Mooney, it would be good to do it in a Mooney because there's no Electra in game. Um, it was heavily modified and has about 200 gallons capacity, so it could go for nearly 3,000 miles, which is quite some difference from what we have today in the Mooney. So obviously on some of the longer journeys that I'll be doing, I will be using the refuel in flight because I can't do the she didn't land, so I'm not going to land either, but I don't have the capacity, so I will cheat and pump up the volume for the fuel as we go. But I won't use any more fuel than she took, or the 1980, or the not the 80 round the world. She didn't have unlimited fuel. Basically, most of her she was basically a flying bomb because most of her fuselage was fuel tank. Okay, so without further ado, I'm actually going to get this aircraft started up, and I'm going to trundle out over to runway 30, where we'll head up and loop around, and head down towards Burbank. So in the meantime, I'll just get rid of my horrible little face and start getting this machine ready. So let's get in, make sure we've got our fuel tanks on, seatbelts are secured, doors shut, windows shut. Let's get the beacon light ready on so we can run Fred over. Battery is on. Hearing to the wine coming up. So get the mixture in, mixture out, propeller full forward. Open the throttle just a little bit. Let's get her fired up, bring her down to 1,000. Can everybody hear me okay? And is this too loud? Is everything, can you hear okay? Obviously I'll get rid of the electro picture in a moment. Get some taxi lights on, some nav lights on. Get the avionics fired up now. Today we're going to be flying around about 6,500 feet. Mainly because she flew between 6,500 feet and 8,000 feet. They spent a lot of time working with Purdue University to calculate the best way of getting the most power and range out of her aircraft. Yeah, it's a group flight if you want to. I'm on North Europe. I'm at K Oakland, so that's Kilo Oscar Alpha Kilo. So anyone's welcome to join. I'm probably not going to be as good as Murphy at picking everybody up, and I probably will just go up into the air and fly around a couple of times and then zoom off. But I'll get better at it, I'm sure. And then we're going to K Burbank. However, I've got a POI that I'm going to on the way. We're going to go over Bakersfield, and that's important because that's one of the places she had her first crash, where she sort of landed with engines on flames on one of her regular flights around the US. Can't seem to get rid of my window. Anyway. Okay, let's get there. Get myself onto on. Release the parking brake. Let's check everything out. Rudders, pedals, everything's nice and free. Okay, let's. We're going to head down to runway 30. I'm just trying to find all my buttons. Runway 30. That one. So we're going to travel down Bravo 1, Bravo, all the way down to Sierra, Sierra down to Tango, Tango to Uniform, Uniform to Whiskey, Whiskey 1, and we'll hold short of runway 30. So if you're coming along, I'll see you there. The wonderful Mooney growl. I love the Mooney. Oh, I better put some weather on. On her first day, it was very high clouds, so I'm going to do high level clouds. And the main problem I've got is she did this in June, so it was much hotter and warmer and not quite so cold as it is today. So yeah, I love the Mooney. I've also chosen the Red Mooney, one of her most famous planes that she flew, the Vega. She called it her Red Robin, and it was a very, very bright red colour. Obviously famous for being the first lady to fly across the Atlantic Ocean solo, which she flew in the Vega. But did you know, interestingly, in 1928, she was the first woman to become a passenger over the Atlantic, which was paid for and supported by her former husband-to-be, and followed on from the Charles Lindbergh flight, where they wanted women to be involved but not to pilot it. When she famously arrived in Barry in Wales, she famously said that she hadn't been flying and that she had just been passengers, and felt like a sack of potatoes. So, but that made her even more inclined to fly it and do it herself when she turned around and said, maybe I'll do it one day myself, which she did. Between the age of between the years of 1922 and 32, how many achievements do you think Amelia Earhart achieved for women flyers in that short period of time? Anyone? She managed to do 10 significant achievements, including first female to fly the Atlantic, first female aviator to fly a gyrocopter, which she amazingly claimed the next record, which was the highest female aviator to fly.
Yankee 66 hold position, caution, other traffic.
I thought I'd turn that off, sorry about that.
Yankee 66, continue taxi.
She reached 18,415 feet in a gyrocopter, which was open cockpit. I hope you can see the pictures I'm putting up on screen.
Yankee 66, did you copy?
Yes, and I'm going to turn you off any moment.
Roger, Yankee 66.
How do you turn off the aviation voices? I thought I'd turn them off, but obviously I haven't. Oh no, don't crash. Phew. God, that was lucky. I thought that was going to crash. Get past the ILS line and then hold short. I'm not going to be super good today. I'm not going to do all my run-ups and everything, but let's get sorted out here. So landing lights can go on, taxi lights can come off, strobe lights can go on, flaps can come down to 1 notch. I can set my rudder to take off rudder. So let's get that rudder trim to take off. Okay, 6,500 set. Heading 30 for the runway. And then we might as well just request permission. She wouldn't have done so in the time, but we will do that.
Oakland Tower Golf, Alpha Lima Yankee, 66 at runway 30 ready for takeoff, south departure.
Golf, Alpha Lima Yankee 66, cleared for takeoff runway 30 south departure approved.
Cleared for takeoff runway 30 Yankee 66.
Throttle full, propeller full. Let's hope I don't wobble down the runway. Kangaroo. I see an aircraft on the runway, so power in. Oh, what the hell? What the hell happened there? Dump! Oh, there's a bump in the runway. Christ. Be careful on runway 30 if you're taking off. Christ or bike. Okay. Positive rate. Gear up.
Yankee 66, continue for south departure. I will contact you next when you leave my airspace.
Trim out the rudder. Let's get some trim in. I don't know if my chat has stopped working, but
Yankee 66, acknowledge last transmission.
Oakland Tower Golf, Alpha Lima Yankee, 66 continue for south departure.
come on, be good. Just do a right turn over the aircraft.
Yankee 66, you are leaving my airspace. Frequency change approved.
Oakland Tower Golf, Alpha Lima Yankee 66 frequency change.
my stream chat is working, because it doesn't see anything. Yeah, it was weird, wasn't it, that thing hitting the runway? It was weird, wasn't it, that thing hitting the runway? It was weird, wasn't it, that thing hitting the runway? It was weird. Oh dear. I didn't think you could hit planes. I thought they were all... There was no collision physics. Redeem Echo, sorry. My chat stopped working on my Twitch app, so I had to jump onto Firefox to see that. Hopefully we've not got an echo now, because I turned that off. I wonder if there are cranberry fields out there. Amelia Earhart, between 1922 and 1932, achieved 10 achievements. She held the world's women's altitude record of 14,000 feet that she achieved in 1922. She was the first woman to fly the Atlantic Ocean, albeit like a sack of potatoes, as a passenger in 1928. She held the speed records for 100 kilometers with 500 pounds of cargo, 230 kilos that was, in 1931. She was the first woman ever to fly an autogyro in 1931. She achieved the altitude record for autogyros of 18,415 feet in 1931. She became the first woman to cross the entire United States coast to coast in an autogyro, also in 1931. Became the first woman to fly the Atlantic solo in 1932. And in 1932 became the first woman to fly it twice across the Atlantic. For her achievements, she received the Distinguished Flying Cross in 1932. And the final thing she did was she flew non-stop coast to coast across the US in 1932. And from then on, she took part in speed races. She formed women's air flight services that later went on to ferry aircraft around the world in World War II. An amazing lady, stood up for lots of female rights in her time, and basically challenged everything in a man's world by trying to get women to take up careers in law, mechanics, engineering, flight. She certainly was epic, Johnny. That picture I showed on screen there was the picture from her first pilot's license. So Bad Dog, she did originally come from quite a wealthy family, but with the First World War, Spanish flu, which she suffered very badly from in 1918, and suffered terrible sinus infections for the rest of her life, which made her flying quite painful for her. Yes, the family fortunes did ebb and weigh a lot over her lifetime. They had mining interests and all sorts of things, but pretty much her father was a drunkard, bankrupt nearly. For her first flying episode, she was at the Canadian County Fair, and they were offering flights for $10, which her dad paid for. But she was in her teens at this time, and by the time she was 300 feet off the ground, she decided she wanted to fly. But her first time at looking at aircraft was back when she was 10 years old at the Iowa County Fair, where she was offered a flight that looked at the rickety wires and paper aircraft, and said that she wouldn't want to and wanted to go back on the merry-go-round. So she didn't seem to be wanting to. There wasn't an initial fascination with aviation as there was when she got into her 20s. She worked 8 jobs, I think, to raise her $1,000 that she needed for her first set of flying lessons, which she took from a female flight instructor. So epic female aviator taking aviation journeys from a lady instructor, which was really quite novel back in the 20s. Let me know if the game sounds too loud. So time to change tanks. I've pulled the power down. I'm doing about 2,200 RPM. My manifold pressure is at 20 inches. And I'm just leaning out the temperature to bring down the engine temperature to eke out as many miles as I can. So I'm down at 13 gallons per hour right now. The outside air temperature today, 2 degrees. Should give us plenty of mileage to go where we're going, so we should have 3 hours approximate fuel for range. So if I bring up the nav map just to show you what we're doing. So we're going to fly pretty much all the way down to Bakersfield, and then we'll head down towards Burbank, where there's quite some high hills around here. What I'm actually going to do is come around, skirt these hills here into the plains, and come around into Burbank there. The second flight, which I'll do next week, is a much longer journey, and it's from Burbank to Tucson. The second one, the third leg we'll do will be from Tucson to New Orleans, and then leg 4 will be from New Orleans to Miami, where the full round the world flight started in earnest. That's a very, very good question, bad dog? And you know what? I don't know the answer. But for the next flight, I'm going to go dig into that and see if she does. I know she had a sister, which she nicknamed Pidge. Amelia's nickname, uninspiringly, was Mealy, Meely. Unsurprisingly, I'd say they both grew up unvery ladylike. Oh, I'm definitely not related. She had an uncanny facial likeness to Charles Lindbergh, and was often nicknamed Lady Lindy for her avionics feat, but there was no actual relationship there. Should take us about 59 minutes until we get to Bakersfield. See some lights in the distance. I know Murph says this all the time, but my word, this game. Look at the lighting. So the plane she flew back in 1937 was the Lockheed Model 10 Electra, twin-engined Palmetto monoplane, and originally developed by the Lockheed Aircraft Corporation in Burbank. Did you know that Lockheed wasn't always Lockheed? It was formed very early in the 1920s by two brothers called Loughead, Loughead. And when they went bust in the doldrums, the company was picked up, renamed, rebranded and moved and became Lockheed. The Electra was fully tested in air tunnels even back in the 1920s and 30s. And Clarence Johnson actually worked as a student assistant at that time, and he built the model and he built the wind tunnel, did all the work to work out all the avionics, the best height, speed, fuel capacity and everything. And he did all of this while he was studying for a master's degree at the University of Michigan. And Clarence Johnson later joined Lockheed as a general employee, and then ultimately went on to lead the famous Skunk Works division, which developed such aircraft as the Lockheed SR-71 Blackbird. So, you know, some famous names that started working with Amelia Earhart and went on to become, you know, design engineering marvels in their own right. So when the Vega does come out, I will definitely get it, and I will definitely do her transatlantic flights in it, and I hope that they're going to make it red. I hope the Vega comes out with a red livery, because that would be absolutely brilliant. I hope it's still working in Discord for you, Catbat. And Ed, I think Ed's in there watching. Hey Ed. Hopefully in a week's time the triangles and peaks that shouldn't be there will disappear. Because there's been that big one over there, the size of that one. So, Mr. Two-Tone, do you fancy catching up and having fly the next leg? Sean Murphy will let you borrow the Mooney. On screen, there's a picture of Amelia Earhart there on the left of your screen as you look at it, and to the right of the screen is actually her first flight instructor, Anita Snook, and they trained in a Curtiss JN4 Canuck, starting my first lesson. It was, I think, January the 3rd, 1921, in Long Beach. And she'd saved up $1,000 for that, and her mother also donated $1,000 as a stake into her learning against her better judgment. Both daughters were very tomboyish in their growing up. Enjoyed sledging, rolling down hills, climbing trees, scrumping apples. Very, very tomboyish. When she started flying lessons, they stayed on field, and she had a brand new leather aviator's jacket. And when she arrived, all the airmen eyed up the jacket as if to say, you've brand new, you're not going to last. And she spent the next 5 nights sleeping in her jacket to make it look worn in, so she didn't stand out amongst all the other airmen. So it was a walnut. And then she also chopped off her very long hair into a boy cut, which she then kept for the remainder of her life. Had the luxury of flying in real life, always makes me wonder what the pioneers of aviation felt like getting into aircraft, doing things that were new and exciting and brave when it really wasn't that well known or understood if you weren't in the aviation field. And to get and do the things she did, incredible. Nice trailing going on back there. Follow, Cat. That's very kind of you. I'm not going to be doing this for a living or anything like that. I'm just doing it because I love flying, and I thought I'd share my around the world with everybody. But I've tried to do well, I hope. Too many buttons. I know now. I won't keep on at Murph about buttons. There's just so many buttons and screens and things. Yeah, map, compass, and she also used to navigate using celestial navigation, so a lot of her flying was done by stars, which I don't think you can do in this game. But you know, if you could, it might be quite interesting to try. I've never done it. You know, it's obviously a thing of the past, but with all the special navigation we have today, GPS and you know, with all, you know, which is going to be the thing of the future, isn't it? Because they're getting rid of a lot of the VORs are going to be deprecated soon, so that's going to change. A lot more people just using not being able to train using the old radio navigation methods. But yeah, she just literally used to use the old RDFs, the radar frequencies. In 1980, on the 80th anniversary tour, the guy that flew the moon, he had the moon equipped with a Bendix RDF as well, and he navigated the world communicating with amateur ham radio users who provided triangulation on his route. So he didn't use any real modern methods either. And basically, he had he had a website where they mapped him all around the world, and you know, hundreds and hundreds of people joined in to make sure he got to where he was needing to go. The fact that she was navigating by radio was probably one of the reasons that her last leg wasn't so successful. She had a US Coast Guard cutter off of Howland Island that they were using to triangulate to, and the weather was bad, and I think she got lost. Yeah, a little map within her pocket. Yeah, the tools we have today, right? You know, even little map for aviating is incredible on Sims. If you've got, you know, this is the legs today I'm showing on screen right now, and this is, I've loaded all of the world's elevation data into Little Nav Map, which then creates aviation profiles based on routes. So I think it will be. I think it should be fine, Johnny, to run it because you can't see my but my CPU is only running at like 30-40%. And even my RAM was only at 41%. VRAM 58%. Well, if you ever need a lesson with a little nav map, I can help you with it. It's very, very powerful. Yeah, especially if you for my next journeys where I'm going to do VOR to VOR, we'll be flying radials. That will be really handy because we'll be using the comms to navigate and change directions to and from with the VORs. I was a little bit nervous about messing around with radio navs today. People potentially watching me, so decided to take it easy on my first ever full stream. Thanks, Ed. Thanks, Johnny. I don't want to overdo it with chatting because I've got tons and tons of things we can talk about Amelia Earhart. I've got her book that was made up of her journeys on the last flight that was published by her husband George Putnam in honorium of her when she didn't return. But most of the journeys up to the legs up to Ley, she radiographed back the information of her flights. So as we do the actual real main ones where she recorded what she was doing, we'll be able to talk about use her words to describe parts of the legs that she was working on as well. So don't want to overdo it. There are so many facts that we could go into. Better change my tank. Yakking away, not watching. So let's have a quick look at everything. Everything's in the green. We're doing around about 155, 58 knots. We're doing around 73. So also pretty much first outing my new graphics card, which so far, touch and boom wood, is being good. I do have a ton of windows open, so I'm imagining it's going to crash at some point, Flight Simulator. I have had one crash, but it wasn't anything to do with the graphics card, it was just Flight Simulator.exe crashing again, which it did the other night on Earth stream when we were coming in to the last airport. I was on fire, I was probably less than a mile out and crunch. Oh, can you not hear me? Okay, give me a moment. Is that any better? Or too loud? Is that better, Ed? Check the mixer. Oh, crikey. Okay, bear with me. I'm not a very loud person generally, so how about that? Any better? Okay, sorry about that, guys. I didn't realise it was so low. Been yakking away to you. You've been hardly able to hear me, sorry. Well, you know, please shout out if it's too loud, too soft, too noisy. It's actually quite hard when you've got the game sound in your head, you've got lots of different windows and screens running, just to try and balance it, because you can't listen to it as you want to listen to it. Thanks, Ed. I love the Mooney. The Mooney is such a wonderful aircraft. That's sky. I haven't got a drone cam, I'm rubbish with it, but I will play with it in the week and see how I get on. Yeah, suggestions, hints, tips, advice, anything you've got. You're never too old to learn. In many ways, Bad Dog, it's first of all, steam gauges. Love steam gauges. I like old school aircraft. I don't mind the glass cockpits, but I much prefer steam gauges. The aircraft is a delight to fly. It's fast. It can fly high. It's got decent range. You know, I'd never flown one in real life. I'd love to fly one in real life now, really would. I'm a Cessna girl. Cessna 152, 150 and 172s were my staple when I was learning. The odd Piper. And I wasn't a normal great fan of low-wing aircraft. So when I first got the Mooney, I was dreadful. I was absolutely awful. The ground effect that I had was just shocking. I think I left my undercarriage back at the numbers the first time I came down. And our steward, Ailerons into the Wind, was saying how he loved the Mooney and how it was wonderful. And I explained that I was having trouble. And he did a video for me. And that video instructed me on flying by the numbers. So I don't know if you can see my mouse. I can't remember if I've turned it on or not. But flying by the numbers is, you know, using the gauges and all of the things in the aircraft to bring everything down under a controlled descent. And you can actually come down with RPM set at 2,200, your manifold pressure at 20. You can have your, you obviously bring your mixture down as you come in, but with your speed brakes out, your descent is controlled. You've got, if you needed to for go arounds, you can just drop those speed brakes and away you go. You've got the power to get around. I've been watching loads of Mooney flight streams, especially is it Aviation 101, where they flew across the states in the Mooney, which was brilliant. I'd like to fly one in real life. I never have, but it lets me do things and go far places that I would like to more easily in game. Hope that was a decent enough answer. But my comfy slippers. Alright, so the speed brake controls, I don't know if you can see this, but to the left of the yoke, there's a little button peeking out near the big red button. You can just see it poking out to the side of the screen. If I pull out, perhaps. There's a speed brake lever on the left horn of the yoke. There, it's just hidden to the left. I have it mapped to a button on my controls, and so that when I press the button, the speed brakes come out, and you can see a notable shift in speed. And then I press it again and off it goes. So, whoa, there goes someone. Because I pressed my speed brakes. Whoosh. Oh, the PA-28 is brilliant. I always made me laugh when I was flying a Piper, because in the obviously in the Mooney and in the Cessnas, you have a nice delicate little lever to press for your flaps, and in the Piper, it's I liken it to a scaffold pole that's like fixed to the floor, and you yank on this pole to bring the flaps down. It always used to make me laugh. It was like there was nothing graceful in that pole at all. Ah, excellent, Ed. So there is one person left. Oh, I should look into that. Thank you. Okay, 32 minutes out. That's how we're doing on the map. Quite a long first leg she did here, but not as long as the second one. I don't know if anyone's noticed, or if you use Navigraph charts. Navigraph charts' latest update has included a lot more information on the airports in their reference section. So if it's a big enough airport that has it, you can have an overview of the airport, its location, all the information you want to know, like the airport elevation, how far away it is. Obviously Burbank, once upon a time, Burbank Airport, when it was built, was all in the confines of the city limits, but over the years has snuck its runways slightly into Los Angeles, and to give it more of a regional understanding, it changed its name from Bob Hope International to Hollywood Burbank a few years ago, so that it gave it a bit more sort of regionalisation. But you can actually now see information about weather, runway information, which includes visual information for your approach, and even gives you approach views to show you what it looks like, so that when you're flying the approach, you've got some ahead notification of what you're looking for in visual reference points, like roads cutting, factories, hangars, and warehousing. And all of the runways have similar information, and this is new in the latest update, which is really useful, especially in Flight Sim 2020, which is so much more a VFR flight simulator than ever has been. And, if you use Navigraph charts, it's a great resource, and I'm really looking forward to them bringing out the VFR maps, because at the moment they've got only high en route, low en route, and world maps, which the world map's not really that good. It's okay, but it's not a VFR map by any shape, manner or form. But it does have moving maps, and you can book routes in, and you can show where you're going, and then you can find out your airport, find out the information, the comms, all the different radio approaches, what runways are available to you. Now, one thing you could be using if you're using Navigraph is sometimes my Flight Simulator does not have the same information as the real world, even though they update it. I am trying to use the beta and populate my nav data from Navigraph, but I still occasionally get some duff information. So if I go into the proc section, select the approach, interestingly they had a picture there, so it looks like it does have a few more than it did do before. Yeah, they've updated it, so it looks like that's got a lot more. When I last flew this, it only had runway 8. Oh no, it's missing 30. It's missing the 30 and 26. Yeah, so it's not quite right still. If anyone ever wants help with Navigraph or with little nav map, let me know. Always happy to hop onto Discord and show you how to use it, or fly out, do an ad hoc stream. Ooh. That was a server flyby. And I need to petition Mooney. We want female pilots, please. Thank you for the follow, Ed. Let me know when it's good for you then, Bad Dog, and I'll hop onto Discord and show you how to use it. Because it's really good. Take-off flight today. It's relatively simple, almost direct with POI that I've added over Bakersfield. But you can measure your distance from your aircraft. So you can say measure distance, you can see how far you've got to go. You can select your airport. You can show your information about it. That information will tell you how far away it is, so 149 nautical miles, bearing at 130 magnetic. what region it's in, the city, the state, what its elevation is, what facilities it has, runways, its weather stations, and everything like that. And then you can check on your nav aids, you can see all the ILS, you can see what airspaces it's in, which is really good. If you know you want to fly an ILS approach or anything like that, you can select the airport and you can say show the arrival procedures, and then it will show you on the right hand side all the different arrivals. If you want to do a VOR-DME, if you want to do an ILS, RNAV approaches, it will show all of that. You can literally then select which one you want, click on it, and it will show you all the different types of transitions, approaches into the airport. So you can see that you're cut across and over. You can then go right mouse click and say insert that, and it will put that approach into your plan. Obviously I tend to do all of this before I fly, so I know where I'm going and what runway I'm going to do. Today, not so much. I'm just going to head to Burbank, fly around and land on the runway, then get told off by ATC for picking the wrong one. But the next set I'll have it all planned in. But it's really good, really good. So powerful. You can also, as you're flying, you can create aircraft profiles. So for the Mooney, I've got a performance file where I've said how much fuel I use, how high I fly, what my cruise speeds are, and then it will basically monitor your performance on the flight. You'll see your fuel report and you'll see how you're doing against how you do on average. Incredibly powerful. So you can, if you're using JoinFS. If you're in JoinFS, so if you're in the sim and it's hooked up to your sim, it will show you AI aircraft if you've got it turned on. If you're in JoinFS, it will actually show you all your players that are nearby you, which is really good. And that's how I think the guys are using the ATC as well, because it all hooks up using the same stuff. On Navigraph you don't get other players' planes. I'm not on flight JoinFS today, but maybe the next flight I will, so I can show you how that works. I didn't want to have too many things hooked up today on this one, just in case. Well, buttons. Yeah, I do. My bio is a little bit out of date. I mean, I haven't really used it at all. I mean, we used to use it to record games like Final Fantasy when I used to play with friends. But I've never used it in Anchor. So yeah, I'll update it later and say, But if anyone plays Final Fantasy 14 and would like to come and launch away, let me know. I will update it after. missed a trick there, didn't I? I should have her number on here. I will do that on the next flight. I'll do the flight number 1055. Several years after making lots of her initial records, she became the first person to fly solo between Honolulu and Hawaii, Honolulu, Hawaii and Oakland, which she did in 1935. She became the first person to fly solo from Los Angeles to Mexico, also in 1935, and the first person to fly solo non-stop from Mexico City to Newark, New Jersey. And she held the speed record in early 1937 for the fastest east-to-west flight from Oakland to Honolulu. And on her flight, as we'll do later on, she became the first person ever to fly solo from the Red Sea to Karachi in 1937. I mean, what a lady. Peeking through the clouds. I love the way the light works in this game. We turned off the motion blur, which annoys me crazily when I jump between aircraft and find it sneakily turned back on again. Yeah, pretty much my first ever proper twitch. So nervous this morning. But I felt better, which is good. I've not been feeling great lately, as you know. So. One thing I'd like in this game is to be able to tune the avionics into an airport frequency and then contact them, which you can't do. You know, I'd like to be able to. I hate the in-game one where you have to wait until your airport's in sight and then use it. So I'd like to be able to tune ahead, speak to the airport when I want to. I have played with VR. I can't get hold of a Reverb G2 yet, but I'm trying. We've got an Oculus G2 Now it's not as powerful, obviously, and but yeah, it's great. I haven't tried it with my new graphics card yet. I was going to get up yesterday and try it, but I felt so rotten that I didn't bother. But I might, after tea tonight, chuck it in and see how it's doing. Because this graphic card's a bit more grunty. Should give me some. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, the Join FS stuff and the sim comics is really fun. I have shortened my aircraft tail number now because I kept getting my teeth wrapped around my number trying to call in. When I was learning, it was really easy. It was Piper Tango Tango Alpha or Piper Tango Tango Bravo were my registration numbers when I was learning to fly. But I made it really long, and then it was really hard. And Seamus was laughing. I have to say a big thank you to actually Jefferson 2001. He joined me on my setup stream a couple of weeks ago and helped when I was getting things set up. So he helped really a big deal. When I was trying to get the screen size right, when I was trying to get the sound right-ish. And of course Jefferson's done some special work for this memorial flight, which we'll see when we get to Howland Island, which I'm really looking forward to seeing in game, which is the Amelia Earhart light beacon, which is the memorial place there on the atoll where she failed to arrive. So a big thank you and shout out to Jefferson for doing that for me. It's going to be a while because that's leg 22. So this is going to take me a while doing it once a week. But I think I will do it once a week, and then it gives me something to look forward to. Some of the legs are incredibly long on the journey. So it's going to take me a long time to get through it. I have the full round the world plan if anyone wants it, where I've mapped all the legs, all the distances, the ranges, the fuels. So if anyone would like that, I'll put it up on Discord in the Epic Journey section. And then if you want to fly it yourself, have fun. I think the longest leg is Lae in New Guinea to Howland Island, which is 2,556 miles. So that's going to be a long day. I will probably start earlier in the afternoon on that one, but got some time to get there yet. Most are several hundred, a couple of them in the thousands. The Tucson to New Orleans flight is 1,000 miles, which she did, which is leg 3. In real life, I don't have long legs. I'm a little short ass. Excuse my French. Very good question. I do have it written down, just bear with me. she roughly travelled between 150 and 196 knots, depending on the altitude she flew at. She majoritively flew at 8,000 feet, around between 1900 RPM, 1700 RPM. If she was at 10,000 feet or higher, she'd be at 16,000 RPM and 24 inches of manifold pressure. But approximately just shy of 200 miles an hour. See the details they kept on this flight was incredible. So yes, technical hour. So yeah, but just shy of 200 miles an hour she flew. Obviously it was a twin engine plane, but very heavy because the fuselage was, you know, pretty much just supplies and fuel. These legs that we're doing now, she didn't announce at all. They flew these legs without letting the press know, and it was pretty much done so that they could test the aircraft out after it had been majorly repaired from its ground loop on Pearl Harbor Airport, and yeah, they significantly damaged both engines. So they were hoping that if they had any problems over the 3,000 mile journey, that they would be able to iron them all out. So short hop first from Oakland to Burbank, where the Electra had been hangared and repaired. So it came home to its hangars first to wave goodbye to the engineers, and then they flew from Burbank to Tucson and onwards. Oh, Catbat, I'm sorry. No, it was Amelia Earhart, the lady whose journey we're flying now. She was meant to arrive at Howland Island, which is a flat atoll in the Pacific, flying from Lae in New Guinea. I can see the epic icon, Catbat, it's there. And yeah, she disappeared on the last leg on her way to Howland Island. And she and her crew member Fred Noonan, they never arrived. They reportedly found part of the engine nacelle that washed up near Hawaii. They had been speaking to the US Coast Guard cutter that was in the area that had been sent there to act as a radio station. But several of the last reports, they were flying at 10,000 feet and running very low on gas. So no one really knows quite what happened, but I imagine it crashed into the sea and sunk. Yeah, History Channel. There's loads of stuff. There's lots and lots of conspiracy theories around, you know, that they were doing reconnaissance missions and things like that. Which who knows? But they did find they did say that the nacelle had been validated as part of her aircraft, so they have found wreckage. That's true. Yeah, it's very sad that she after achieving so much, and you know, she's an icon not just for aviation, but she was an icon for women. You know, at a time where women didn't have the rights that they have so luxuriously today. I mean, you know, they fought, they died, they suffered to make change and make their place in this world, and she was one of them. And a great feminist icon. She set up lots of things for women to get involved with as well. In like I mentioned earlier, careers that they, you know, giving women hope and girls hope that they could do things that they never thought possible. very sad. So I think I mentioned earlier that she had, she was deemed to be very shy, but she had a wonderful charisma. She was an independent lady, total courage, and went for her goals and went for them. There are hundreds and hundreds of articles and books that exist around her accomplishments, and I think was it 1,000 women pilots signed up in the Women's Air Force Service pilots, ferried aircraft, towed gliders, flew practice target aircraft during World War II, and she set that organisation up when she was still alive. And her house back in Kansas is now the Amelia Earhart Birthplace Museum, and it's maintained by a group of people called the 99s, which is an international group of female pilots, of whom Amelia was their first ever elected president, and they still look after her house today. I think it's incredible that someone who was a pioneer is still looked after in honour these days. Yeah, definitely a leader. Okay, we're coming over Bakersfield now, where we'll take a turn to the south. Bakersfield, there's a field in the middle of town where Amelia took her Redbird, the Vega, with its engine out, and managed to safely bring it into land without harming the aircraft or anyone nearby. So I picked this because it was one of the places where she had crashed, and she didn't have too many accidents in her life, but this was one of her most famous ones. She also did a lot of flying in the I've forgotten the name of it now. In the gyrocopter, the Pitcairn, around this area. This is where she learned to fly over and around. Not sure the park's still there these days. It's pretty much, what's it now, golf course or housing by the looks of it. I took the XY coordinates on Google Maps from her recorded entries to find where that place was, to add it to my flight plan. Okay, and now we're going to start turning south again, as we now head on towards Burbank, where we're only 76 miles away. Should be there in about 26 minutes. Hopefully the music's not too loud in the background. I have put some music on while we're flying. Took a leaf out of Murphy's book and picked up some adventure music from Epidemic. Like Murph and Colonel Fork, I am just so proud to be part of the sim community that Murph's built up. I mean, I am just so incredibly proud to be part of it, and a member of you, being able to fly with you all, talk to you all, help you all as much as I can. It's really made a difference to me. I've got my love of flying back, which obviously the pandemic's taken away. I just love it. I spent hours hours flying, just aimlessly, sometimes going nowhere. Crap. It's amazing, isn't it? Yeah, she was quite the socialite, Amelia Earhart. I mean, she actually had quite a lot of political friends as well. As I say, she obviously got the which one was it? It was the Distinguished Flying Cross. She received in 1932 for heroism or extraordinary achievement whilst participating in an aerial flight, for her flight across the Atlantic. First awarded in 1927 to 10 aviators of the US Army Air Corps who flew in the Army Pan American flight. Took place between 21st December 1926 and May 1927. Two of the airmen actually crashed mid-air in February, and they received their awards posthumously. But obviously, Amelia Earhart is a recipient of that medal. That's interesting about Ernest Hemingway. I'd missed that in my research. She also, for her Atlantic flight, she received the Distinguished Flying Cross, which I mentioned, the Cross of the Knight of the Legion of Honor from France, and the Gold Medal of the National Geographic Society. And she got that from Herbert Hoover, who was president at the time. As I say, she developed quite a lot of friends in high places, and I think one of her closest friends in politics was First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt, mainly around. Eleanor Roosevelt had great passions for women's causes, and she actually flew with Amelia Earhart and got a student permit because of it, but she didn't pursue a flying career at all. But she did take some lessons with Amelia Earhart, which I think is quite cool. Yeah, I don't need to descend for a while. Once I get past these mountains a little bit, I shall descend and take a flying approach in. Still in the green and good. Just in case, let's take headings. Sim doesn't know what the wind's doing, it's going around in circles. I'm using the G530 mod from the same people that do the G1000, G3000 mod. If you fly Cessnas and the Mooney, I definitely recommend it. It gets rid of the infamous U-turn bug. If you change direct modes or you add approaches or anything when you're flying along, you could literally fly, be halfway to your next airport, add in an approach, and it would U-turn you back to the one you'd come from. Crackers. And then you couldn't correct it, and then you had to fly by hand. It was just awful. So the mod includes wind directions, which normally works fine. Doesn't look like it's working fine today. Has a lot more information on it. You have an HSI heading indicator on it as well, showing your bearings. The procedures are better. The menus are better. You can actually even restart your GPS, which you couldn't do. So much better. Highly recommended. I'll put a link to it in my the Epic channel if anyone ever's interested in using it. Take care, Johnny. Thank you for coming with and watching and flying. Yes, Ed, I do. I have an LG ultra wide screen, curved 34-inch, 1340 by 1440p monitor. Bad dog, I'd never really thought about that. I honestly don't know. Ed might know better than me. Generally, in aviation, you fly where you're told to go, unless you're on VFR. If you're on VFR, it's up to you to work out where you are and watch out for traffic and avoid. Obviously, at night it's easier because you've got your navigation lights, where you can work out which direction people are flying in based on the layout of the lights. But like seaborne navigation and boat navigation, you've obviously got your green light and your red light. You should always pass green to green, never green to red, because that means you're going to overlap. So in the UK, boats navigate the same way as Americans. So you navigate your boat on the right. So unlike the roads where we drive on the left, it's the opposite for waterways navigation in the UK. I actually have a really good diagram of how to pass in flight, which I'll put up on Discord later, Bad Dog, and that explains how you should approach other aircraft and obviously give them enough separation. Mountains to plains to mountains again. This country's incredible. And on this journey I'm going to be flying places I've not flown to yet. So I don't think I've landed in New Orleans yet. I think we've been close but not landed there. We haven't landed on Miami yet with Murph, but I should be, and then it's out over the Caribbean. So for the entire journey, it's all mapped out. The screen right now as we're just flying along, you'll see there's the route. So we're going down from Oakland to Burbank to Tucson across to New Orleans, and then Miami, and then we'll fly out over the Caribbean, Puerto Rico into South America, fly along the coast of South America, and then from Brazil hop over the Atlantic into Africa. And then across the Africa, through the Middle East, across India and Pakistan, down through the Pacific to Darwin, and then from Darwin we'll head back across the Pacific via Honolulu and Leh and Howland Island, which we will stop on, and then from Howland Island back to San Francisco. So 22 legs in all. It would be 24 if I were to fly it as she did, because there was a couple of legs where they doubled back on themselves. Well, they've got very unwell, certainly in the African subcontinent. They had to go back and get medical supplies before they could carry on. So it's going to take me about 22 weeks. To do this. Sadly, I don't have that much time in the night to do 8-hour flights, so which one of them will be? But I might do a Saturday and a Sunday one. Maybe if I get more confident. One a week might be alright for now. But we absolutely need Mrs. Two-Tone up here, leading the way with the girls. Be nice to encourage more females to come fly with us. So the next flight, I'm going to do a lot more VFRing, radio navigation, try and do as much as like Amelia did. Now I'm fairly confident. Oh, another red Mooney! Excellent! Amelia's favourite colour. Look at this. Stunning. Okay. Another time to change tanks. I hope I don't hit a pothole when I'm landing. That was really embarrassing, that takeoff. I had to mute my mic because I swore. No, we've not got enough ladies flying, bad dog. I haven't recorded it, I'm afraid, this time. I'm waiting for an external hard drive to come to do the recording of the flights. Ed, but hopefully next week's flight, which is a much longer flight, I will record and link up to everybody so they can watch it if they want to. Obviously, I can link it from. It'll be there available on Twitch, so I can link the Twitch in my post if people want to come back and watch it. The airport I'm looking at just to my 1 o'clock is Kilo Victor November Yankee, or Van Nuys. I'm gonna say that's wrong. Van Nuys Airport. I think that's Van Nuys over there, and I think Burbank is a little bit straight on. I think that's Burbank down there. So once we get over this hill, we'll circle round to the south of the airport and come into the north. Once we get over this ridge, we'll drop down. Normally, if you were flying radio into here, you'd probably hook into the Van Nuys VOR and then come in from the west. Certainly the ILS approach is over to the south of Van Nuys. gonna completely butcher that. Sorry, guys. Thanks, Ed. Yeah, I was thinking of doing just that. Then I could upload them to YouTube and stuff. I certainly won't be making a living of this, to be honest. I'm nerve-wracking. It's lovely that you guys have turned up and I can talk to you because I all know you, which has really put me at ease, but still, I get very nervous, would you believe? Despite being outwardly confident, I get very nervous. Did I get 40 followers? Really? Crikey. I haven't got dashboard running, so I don't know. That's brilliant. Thank you, guys. Let's start to get this puppy down. Let's get it down to about 3,000. Okay, so as we start to come down, I'm going to watch for the overspeed, and as we do that, we'll just keep gently tapping. Yeah, I put the brakes on. Sorry guys, I didn't realise I could talk in here as well. You're right. Oh, so you are, there you are, sorry, beg your pardon. I didn't realise. Yeah, I was just trying not to overspeed Wall Hamster. I wasn't even doing firewalling. I'm down at the moment, coming down to about 130. Yeah, we were. We are very close. Yeah, we're very close now. We're about it's literally the next airport below us. I'm going to fly over it to the south. I'm going to come off autopilot any moment. It's Burbank, yeah. I'm going to fly over it, come in runway 33. Runway 33 is not on any of the navigation stuff in game, which is a pain in the butt. So I talked earlier about flying by the numbers. Literally here you can see I'm not really doing anything. I'm using the speed brake really to control my descent. Going to make sure I keep the leaning the mixture to keep us in the green band. So we're over Burbank Airport now. So I'm going to take off autopilot shortly. Skirt around to the south and bring her in. So before I do too much, let's get my course selector to 3-3. Make sure we're going the right way. Let's set heading bug straight ahead. Let's change from nav mode to heading. Just while we take that off. Okay, let's take off the autopilot. As we get lower, coming down towards 3,000 feet. I'm going to go across the city here, come round, back, be very naughty. But once upon a time, you could fly wherever you liked. Now, wish I had my VR on now, because I could lean my head out the window and make sure I'm not careering too much towards the ground. Manifold pressure back to 20, RPMs around 220. Now I'm below 140. Gear can come out. That brings us into flap range. So let's just, for the moment, just speed us up a little bit. And then back in. Try and keep it nice and controlled. Bring on to 3-3 now. Okay, seatbelt secure. Fuel tank. Fill this tank. Bit of wind. Happy as I'm a little bit high. Mixture full. I'm going to get ATC going. You didn't have permission to land here, so gear secure. Okay, power back. Try and just drift it. Oh, someone did just spawn right in front of me. You're right. Okay, bring the nose up a little bit. Bleeds off some of the speed. Bit of the wobble on the ground, but not too shabby. Okay, she'll carry on a little bit longer and then take the next taxiway. Not bad for a first one, with everyone watching. Okay, I'm I'm going to take taxiway to the left. Speed brakes in, start clearing up the aircraft as I turn off the runway. Give some differential braking to come around the corner. Get clear of the runway, and then we'll change our lights over and we'll go park up. Wish I had pictures of Burbank Airport back in the 30s. So let's take those strobes off, taxi light can come on, landing light can come off, and we'll just go and park over there to the left. Make sure nothing's there. Yeah, that was that aircraft spawned in right just in front of me. Let's go and park it up next to this Jabiru. Okie dokie, right then, so we're down on the ground, flaps are in, speed brakes in, so on the parking brake, and then we'll just make sure we'll turn the avionics off so that when we power down the aircraft it doesn't trash them. Let's get the lights off except the beacon, and then we can pull the RPM out, and then we'll pull down the throttle. We'll just go back in, get the engine stopped, turn off the key, put the fuel tank into off, make sure all the lights are off, and there we are, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Burbank, and thank you so much for joining me on the my first ever live stream and first ever part of the Amelia Earhart Memorial Tour across the world, equatorial journey. Hey Colonel Fort, lovely to see you. Moni did go Zoom. And there we go. So thank you ever so much, everybody. It's been great. I've really enjoyed it. Very nerve-wracking, I must say. I'm trying to find where's all my buttons. That's not that one. It's not that one. Not that one. But I need my buttons now. Lost them. Oh, where's it gone? Is it that one? Thank you, Mr. Chippy. Lovely to see you. I don't know what button it was now. Oh, I'm sorry. I can't bring my camera back. It doesn't want to do it. No, I've lost it. Lost them all. Oh, there I am. So thank you ever so much, everybody. Thank you. I really enjoyed it, and look forward to next week's flight, which is a long flight where we go from Tucson, to Tucson from Burbank, which is a fairly hefty flight. So thank you once again, everybody. Take care, and I will see you all soon. Thank you, Murphy. Thank you so much, everybody. I absolutely loved it. So that was brilliant. Thank you. Take care, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.